gentlemen, this is Jeff Rains coming to you again with Foundation of Civilization, Our Changing World. And it is that time of week again where I run down the most important news items of the week. And this, of course, is I only have so much time, so these are the most important things that I have run across and that I am prepared to present to you. And each week I will continue issuing a warning that this broadcast, I'm not trying to challenge people, and I'm not telling you what to think or anything. This is a message, a warning to those people who want to listen, are worried about what's happening in the world, and want to find some comfort in what to do, where to go, and try to point out what the stable points are in our world. If you don't find this video helpful or useful, well, keep scrolling. There's lots more on the internet. If you do find it useful and helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate the effort and the help that you guys give me. Before I get into the news, I want to let you know that I have something for you, and hopefully it'll help fund this little addiction of mine of bringing you the news. Years ago, I wrote a book called A Twisted Trade. I've now gotten it turned into an audiobook, and I want to thank my narrator, Jerome Ferguson. I think he did a great job, and I'll give you a description at the end of the video so you can find out more about it, and there will be a link if you choose that you want to purchase it. World runs on energy, so that's where I start. Oil this week, West Texas Intermediate ended the week at $60.98. Brent ended the week at $65.07. OPEC baskets ended the week at $66.46. Gold ended the week at $4,002.93. It's been doing a pullback a good bit. Silver was up a little bit over the past week at $48.68. And those two are measures of how well our banking system is going, how well our currency system is going. People get out of the fiat currency that we typically use and into the metals whenever they feel that the fiat currency is not working well. There's too much out there and not enough goods to purchase it. So gold still remaining above $4,000 and is an indication that there is some tremendous concern out there. The Baltic Exchange Dry Goods Index, this is a measure of how well traders feel, how much they're willing to pay for things to be transported. And it ended the week at $1,966, which is in the range that it's been in for the past few months. The government bonds, 10-year bonds in particular, those are a measure of how well people think the governments are going to be able to pay back their debts. The higher they go, the less likely the traders feel that the bonds are going to get repaid. The lower they go, in general, the more likely people feel that the bonds are going to be repaid. U.S. 10-year bond yields are at 4.079%. The U.K. bond yields are at 4.4084%. The Japanese bond yields are at 1.6587%, and unfortunately Japan, as I understand it, is artificially deflated. It's artificially low. This week, the Federal Reserve, in line with the Treasury notes, the Federal Reserve voted 10-2 for the central bank to reduce its benchmark overnight borrowing rate to keep it in the range of 3.75 to 4%. Additionally, the Fed decided to it announced that it would be ending the reduction of its asset purchases, a process known as quantitative tightening on December 1st. All right, now I need to read this again to make sure I catch this right. It announced that it will be ending the reduction of its asset purchases. So it's been reducing its asset purchases, and now it's going to increase its asset purchases. That was a really odd way for them to write that. But that means that, well, there's a stronger likelihood that you're going to see some more inflation. The Fed is going to be purchasing more assets and putting more money into the system. The Fed statement reiterated concerns that policymakers have over the labor market, saying that downside risk to employment rose in recent months. The United States and China came to a trade deal. While they're trying to hammer out an official deal, they came to a verbal deal, or a short-term deal. And Beijing has agreed to pause for a year the sweeping export controls on rare earth minerals. Now, China has also has approved a TikTok transfer deal. This according to the Treasury Secretary, United States Treasury Secretary. And China also agreed to purchase 12 million tons of U.S. soybeans. As far as the military deployments go, last count that I had was 287 ships, 99 deployed, 69 underway. The USS George Washington remains in Yokosuka. The Gerald R. Ford is operating in the Ionian Sea, but is on its way to the Caribbean to assist the force that is interdicting drugs. USS Nimitz is in the South China Sea. The Tripoli is in the Philippine Sea. The Iwo Jima is operating in the Caribbean Sea with the Fort Lauderdale and San Antonio. The USS Boxer departed San Diego. I already noted that the Gerald R. Ford is headed to the Caribbean. The flotilla down there, the military force already has 8 warships, a nuclear submarine, and F-35 aircraft in the region. So a carrier will add, well, some significant firepower. Now, the Nimitz this past week had an F-18 fighter and a MH-60 Seahawk helicopter go down within about 30 minutes of each other. This as they were conducting operations. And this is very rare. Aircraft crashes are actually quite frequent. 2 of them going down within 30 minutes of each other is very rare. Fortunately, all crew members of the aircraft were rescued. NATO and the EU are expressing concerns that the United States may be reducing its footprint, soldiers' presence in the Eastern Europe, Romania in particular. But they were given a promise that 1,000 troops will remain in Romania. As of April, more than 1,700 personnel were estimated to be deployed there. And that's about a brigade, 1,500 to 3,000 people. In Europe, the markets ended the week. The DAX ended the week at 23,958. The FTSE 100 ended the week at 9,719.42. The CAC 40 ended the week at 8,118.91. And the IBEX ended the week at 16,032.60. Russian forces have advanced on Pokrovsk, a eastern province in Ukraine. This threatens Ukrainian supply lines, and the Ukrainian troops face significant challenges because of this advancement by Russian soldiers. They estimated, I believe, about 200 troops in the town. The Russian president said last Sunday, that Russia successfully carried out a test of its nuclear-powered intercontinental missile, the cruise missile, the Burevestnik. This missile is it's estimated to be able to fly 8,700 miles. And this particular missile flew for about 18 hours under the test. Poland noted that they elected to scramble 2 MiG-29 fighters from their air force to intercept a Russian aircraft, an IL-20, which is it's an ISR aircraft, a Russian ISR aircraft airframe. An interesting comment from the Belgian defense minister, Mr. Theo Fraken, said that he was asked if Russia would attack NATO, and he said no, because then he will be striking at the heart of NATO, and we will wipe Moscow off the map. Now, I believe that the Belgian defense minister is talking about NATO in general, not Belgium, because as strong as the Belgian fighters are, there just aren't that many of them. So I don't think he was trying to call out Russia. I think he was trying to talk about the power of NATO when they work together. A couple weeks ago, the heist at the Louvre, there were 4 people that were engaged in that. They climbed a ladder to an outside window on the 2nd floor, used angle grinders to cut their way in and cut their way into the display cases, and stole several of the French royal jewels. They had an estimated value of $102 million, or 88 million euros. Well, 2 of those suspects have been arrested. One of them was trying to board a plane to Algeria. The other one was trying to board a plane to Mali. This past week, Britain's King Charles took the extraordinary step of starting the process to strip his brother Andrew of his royal titles and evict him from the royal estate in Windsor. This is as a result of his involvement with serial and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Prince Andrew is 65 years old and has faced 15 years on and off controversy over his friendship with Epstein. And in a new book that has been posthumously published by Virginia Guthrie, she's alleged that Prince Andrew assaulted her several times as a teenager. In Asia, the Nikkei ended the week at 52,260.52. The Nikkei, that was the Nikkei. The SSE index ended the week at 3,956.40. The Hang Seng ended the week at 25,956.24. The BSE Sensex ended the week at 84,035.30. And the Nifty 50 ended the week at 25,732. China's factory activity has contracted for the 7th consecutive month in October. And this is one of those things that have impacted the Chinese, and that they look at the people, and the Chinese leadership look at the people and say, hey, they're idle and we need to keep them working. And this is part of the reason why the trade war has been going on, continues to go on between the United States and China. The pressure of the tariffs has slowed the Chinese production capacity. There is the Manufacturing Purchase Managers Index slipped to 49 in October when it was holding at 49.8 in September. Any measure of this scale goes between 0 and 100, and a PMI reading below 50 indicates a contraction. China is launching a new spacecraft, the Shenzhou 21. His crew included the youngest member of the astronaut corps. Then they blasted off Friday atop a Long March 2F rocket from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in northwest China. It's the 7th mission to the permanently inhabited Chinese space station since it was completed in 2022. And the Chinese Shenzhou 21 spacecraft involves trios of astronauts on 6-month stays in space. The astronauts that are going are Zheng Hongzheng, Wu Fei, and I don't see who the third one was. I apologize, I don't have his name available to me. This past week, Philippine Marines deployed 2 small boats to escort a Chinese fishing boat, and that Manila claimed was illegally fishing at the Second Thompson Shoal. This shoal is a disputed area, and the Philippine Armed Forces escorted them back out of the area. Western intelligence says Iran is rearming despite UN sanctions with China's help. Imagine that. Iran-backed Hezbollah is rebuilding its weapons ranks, and this is in Lebanon, defying a ceasefire deal and risking renewed conflict with Israel. This according to a Wall Street Journal report. Intelligence shows Hezbollah is restocking rockets, anti-tank missiles, and artillery through seaports and smuggling routes that still operate in parts of Syria. So they're prepping for the next round of violence in the Middle East. Israel launched strikes against Gaza this past Tuesday. The Israeli leadership claimed that Hamas violated the ceasefire, and so in response, Israel, it's alleged that Israel killed over 100 people, and then they immediately declared the ceasefire back on, which I don't know. You kind of lose me after the second ceasefire violation. Down in Africa, Mali has suspended schools, universities nationwide due to a severe fuel scarcity caused by a blockade on fuel imports imposed by Islamic insurgents. The education minister said they're doing everything possible to end the crisis to make sure that the schools are able to get the fuel that they need. The Africa Command, United States Africa Command, confirmed an airstrike on ISIS Somalia in the Golis Mountains earlier this month. The target area is roughly 85 kilometers southeast of Bosaso. This is the first time that Africa Command has admitted that they were involved in attacking the ISIS in Somalia. Heavy fighting broke out between rival factions of Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa province, ISWAP. This was in the Sambisa forest. This is an axis of the Borno state. Reliable sources told security analyst Zagazola Makama that the latest round of infighting began when a faction loyal to the notorious commander Abba Tukure, alongside his lieutenants Banjuma and Ali Kalumbo, launched a coordinated offensive against rival camps. The assault reportedly started at the Gazua camp, which is a major stronghold of Sambisa, in the Sambisa area of Bama. Tukure's fighters overpowered their opponents after hours of fierce gunfights. Subsequent raids targeted nearby enclave in Kashmira, Kachi, and Bula Musaya. Several hideouts were overrun. Another incident occurred in this time in Sudan. The WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, said that the WHO is appalled and deeply shocked by reports of tragic killing of more than 460 patients and companions at the Saudi maternity hospital in El Fasher, Sudan. This follows recent attacks and abduction of health workers. Terrible tragedies that are going on in Africa. This past week in the Americas, in the markets, the Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the week at 47,673.66. The S&P ended the week at 6,839.87, and the NASDAQ ended the week at 23,723.38. The conflict with Venezuela continues. This week, Venezuela claims to have captured a mercenary group linked to the United States Central Intelligence Agency. This was last Sunday. They claim that a false flag attack is underway in waters bordering Trinidad and Tobago, or from that area, and the Venezuelan police force or military captured these people. Now, the trouble is we don't know whether it's true or not. If it were true, the CIA is going to deny it. If it's not true, the CIA is obviously going to deny it. So either way, we get a denial. This past week, Argentina had an election, a midterm election, and the current president party maintained their power. This gives him a strong foothold in Congress to continue pursuing his aggressive free market policies. His party received 41% of the votes nationwide and 92% of the ballots, with 92% of the ballots counted. Also this past week, the governors of 2 Canadian provinces are speaking out and letting the people speak and have their voices heard. The governors of Alberta and Saskatchewan have stated that they are not trying to promote independence or joining the United States, but that they will put forward a vote, let the people speak, discuss, and then vote on whether they want to break away, or if they want to become states under the United States. Also this past week, Brazil launched a number of raids and crackdown. Over 1,500 police engaged criminals in the favelas. It ended up, the last body count was 132 dead. Many of the bodies had been retrieved from a nearby hillside where police said most of the deadly clashes unfolded. When the police leaders and politicians were challenged, when they were challenged about if these people were innocent or not, the Governor Castro noted, to be quite honest with you, the conflict wasn't in a built-up area. It was all in the woods, so I don't believe anyone was just strolling through the woods on a day of conflict. And he said that, and that's why we can easily classify them. Residents described the scenes unfolding Tuesday as warlike, with shootouts between officers and armed men. buses being set on fire and to create barricades. According to the police, gang members also used drones to drop explosives on officers as they fanned out through the neighborhoods, which was the strongholds of the Red Command. This is how real police are treated by criminals, with bombs dropped by drones. This is the scale of the challenge we face. This is not ordinary crime, but narco-terrorism, according to the governor of the area down in Brazil. The police, of course, also implemented their drones and to search for the criminals. And it was, well, apparently it was quite a battle. This past week in the United States, a number of companies announced layoffs. UPS plans to lay off 48,000 workers, Nestle 16,000, Amazon 14,000, Bosch 13,000, Dell 12,000, Accenture 11,000, Nissan 11,000, Intel 10,000, Microsoft 9,000, Novo Nordisk 9,000. The statements being put out by these companies is that AI is impacting the workforce, which, if that's true, you're probably looking at a number of people who are involved in number crunching, accounting, maybe marketing, or tracking things. You're not looking at people who have to handle the material and turn it into a useful product. Today is November 1st for me as I record this, and today is the day that SNAP benefits are supposed to be cut off. A number of states have pledged support. Michigan pledged $4.5 million to food banks because of this interruption. Nevada allocates $30 million for SNAP benefits as federal funding expires. Maryland declared a state of emergency as these benefits expire, which I kind of find interesting. The states are able to find money to support these people, at least for short term, but keep demanding money from the federal government. Thank goodness this past week, actually just yesterday, Halloween. 5 suspects were arrested in Michigan in the Dearborn area as they prepared to a terror attack. Authorities brought into custody a handful of ISIS-inspired individuals allegedly planning a violent Halloween weekend attack. This is according to sources familiar with the operation who spoke with the New York Post. Another group that has been going around lately is being charged. The Justice Department has filed terrorism charges against an Arizona man for his alleged role in the growing network of online predators known as 764. If you have not heard about them, please study up on them, read a couple articles on them, and check with your children. This group, their worldwide followers use social media platforms to target, groom, and push young teens into harming themselves and others. An indictment unsealed on Thursday charged 21-year-old Baron Martin of Tucson with conspiracy to provide material support to terrorists. This is marking the first time the Justice Department has leveled such a charge against an alleged member of 764. Now, this doesn't mean that the U.S. government is formally designating 764 as a terrorist organization. It's just like they have for ISIS or Al-Qaeda, but it does signify that the government believes members of 764 engage in terrorist activity. So this one guy seems to have earned the special attention. Several top figures in the current U.S. administration have opted to live on military housing in the Washington area instead of private homes due to safety fears. This Homeland Security Secretary, She lives in a home meant for Coast Guard Commandant on a joint base, Anacostia Bowling. The Defense Secretary, Secretary of State, both live on Fort McNair on the General's Row by Buzzard Point. And the Army Secretary shares a home with a roomie at Arlington's Joint Base Meyer Henderson. Now, the National Intelligence Director looked into moving on to Fort McNair earlier this year, but the move never happened due to space reasons. This as a result of the terrorists and the cartels putting bounties on people's heads, especially the leaders' heads. They need the additional security to keep them safe. Over the past months, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers working with federal partners have arrested 1,500 violent criminals in Chicago, even as they've been coming under attack by rioters. These attacks have increased, and the Department of Homeland Security officials have uncovered that Mexican cartels place bounties for members of the public to target, in a number of places. The Pilsen and Little Village neighborhoods. And these cartels are subcontracting out to U.S. gangs like the Latin Kings. They have spotter networks all throughout the community. So kids with a radio or with their cell phone, whenever they see movement coming out of the ICE facility, they will call and alert the network. Other criminal gangs like the Chilean South American Theft Group and Venezuelan Tren de Aragua are using similar methods, as well as cell phone jammers to thwart law enforcement response. These responses are some of the things that I find very interesting, the connection between the cartels and the U.S. gangs. Although many of the reports that I've read in the recent past note that the cartels try to stay out of the United States because they recognize they get caught here, they're in deep trouble. They end up going to a U.S. prison, and it's not nearly as nice as the cozy little prisons down in Venezuela or Mexico or Chile. Now that is going to wrap up everything that I have for you this week, and thank goodness I was able to cut it a little shorter than I have been going lately. So the last thing I want to do is go into the description of my audio book. The book's name is A Twisted Trade. The small kingdom of Commenda has ventured into the slave trade. The king looks to his most trusted advisor, Chimzei, to manage the rival tribesmen captured from the local countryside. As an entrepreneurial man, the king sees the wealth of his European contacts and realizes the potential of the trade. He seeks to increase his wealth and expand his kingdom. Charging Chimzei with a mission, he dutifully follows the slave trade to the New World. What he finds makes him doubt his mission. The deeper he goes, the clearer the picture becomes. Cloaked in secrets, the reality of slavery is a legacy of violence, terror, and families torn apart. Can Chimzei resist the lure of money and power to stand up to for the people? Can he convince others to give up the trade? What would you risk to be on the right side of history? I want to thank you guys all for being here today and following me. I appreciate you. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I look forward to talking to you guys again very soon in the near future. Thanks. Bye.